We continue with Chapter 19 of Ungifted, and we're in Chapter 19, Unwelcome. We're going to start on page 209, and Mom and Dad are just pretty disappointed. You always suspected, huh, Dad? He was quiet for a moment, then, you know that website you like, the one about the ancestors and great-granduncles and old-time relatives? Well, I did my share of that kind of poking around when I was your age. That didn't make sense. They had Ancestry.com when you were a kid? Well, back then they called it the library, but if you go through enough microfiche, you can learn the same things. The names you dug up, I've heard most of them before. Irish forebears who moved to America, Canada, England, Australia, places like that. Amazing. I still couldn't explain why I did the things I did, but at least now I understood why I turned to Ancestry.com to look for answers. All those people went on to different jobs, he continued. Teacher, construction worker, lawyer, gravedigger, even a mayor and a couple of city councilmen. As far as I could tell, they all lived satisfying, happy, productive lives. But you know what? Not one of them was especially gifted. Think about that, and maybe you'll see why I'm not so crushed about this. What matters, the only part I really care about, is that you're happy. It was an impressive speech for a normally quiet guy like my dad. There was only one problem. I wasn't happy. In fact, I was pretty far from it. I was completely outside my control, but I felt like I was letting the robotics team down. For sure, Tin Man wasn't going to win with Abigail at the joystick. Worse, Katie was quitting human growth and development. If they boot my brother, they boot me too, she said stoutly. Who says you're not gifted? You do, I replied honestly, and it's the truth. Come on, Katie. It wasn't the kids who kicked me out. They're still 14 hours short of their credit. They'll have to go to summer school. That's tough, she snapped. Summer school will be good for them. Let them see how the other half lives. What could I say? She was supporting me. Strange she should choose to start now. I felt bad, but I had to let it go. Dr. Schultz had spelled it out. That place wasn't my life anymore. In the real world, it never had been. My locker was gone. I mean, it was still there, but while I was at the academy, the administration had hacksawed my lock off, and all my stuff had vanished. At the office, they told me to make a list of the missing items. I tried, but the only thing worth more than 3 cents was one combination lock, so I gave up. I kept seeing my locker at the academy, spacious, freshly painted, its built-in power strip waiting to help me keep my devices charged, not that I had any devices. By comparison, my Hardcastle locker was about the size of a tiny apartment mailbox, and it smelled like feet. The whole building was an extension of my locker, shabby, crumbling, depressing. The academy was a palace by comparison. I don't know if I appreciated it when I was there, but I definitely appreciated it now, surrounded by broken drinking fountains and crumbling plaster. Week-old lunches overflowed out of every garbage can. The hall rang with the voice of an assistant principal chewing out some poor kid over a random offense. Nobody took you for a cooling-off walk and a philosophical discussion at Hardcastle. Here, a paper airplane was not an experiment in aerodynamics. It was an act of war. I tried to work up more gratitude for being off the hook for the Atlas incident. This place just crushed it out of me. I doubt James Donovan ever stood on the deck of the Carpathia and yearned to return to the icy water. But I couldn't stop itching for a rewind button to wish me back to the academy. It was stupid, I know. I never said I was gifted. I just wish I'd been better at faking it. The Daniels arranged a homecoming for me that I'm not going to soon forget. In front of the entire lunch crowd in the cafeteria, they presented me with the 2012 Moron of the Year award, which looked suspiciously like the missing toilet from the upstairs boys' room. On the bowl, in dripping red paint, was written, "Welcome home, stupid." It weighed 1.5 tons. Here he is, back from a very limited engagement at the Academy for Scholastic Dork Extinction. The man who turned out to be just as lame-brained as the rest of us. Give it up for Donovan the Dummy Curtis. I didn't die of humiliation. I only wanted to. There were a few lukewarm cheers, but most of the kids didn't quite know what to make of it. I'd only been gone a few weeks. Half of them might have figured I took a long trip or had mono or got suspended for something. Probably a lot of them thought, who's Donovan Curtis? Come on, you guys, Sanderson goaded the crowd. If it isn't loud, he won't understand it. I hefted my award, which must have tipped the scale at 35 pounds, and swung it at the Daniels. The seat came off, whacking Nussbaum in the back of the head before cracking on the floor. That got a bigger response than the announcement of my award. My one consolidation was that Chloe wasn't here to witness it. I didn't know for sure, but she struck me as a pacifist. At any rate, toilet fighting was probably a no-no. This might have cured her of her longing to be normal, and if it didn't, she was nuts. Come on, man, Nussbaum offered. We'll buy you lunch. I brought my lunch, I said stubbornly. Then grab a table, Sanderson instructed, rubbing the back of his head. And don't forget your award, what's left of it. I was wary. I'm not going to get blamed for stealing this, am I? I'm running low on schools I haven't been kicked out of yet. See, that's what's been missing around here, Nussbaum noted, the Donovan sense of humor. Welcome home, bro. This place wasn't the same without you. We had lunch with Heather and Deirdre. Apparently, those four had been eating together for weeks. That made me the party crasher. I thought the one good thing about coming back to Hardcastle was at least I'd fit in. Guess again. As it turned out, I had to throw my sandwich away. It had spent the morning in my locker, and now the mayonnaise tasted like feet. I took handouts from my four companions. Girls put avocado in everything. I was back with friends, or what passed for that. Funny, I'd been convinced I was friendless at the academy, but I felt more a part of things in Oz's robotic lab than anywhere here at Hardcastle. How could I compare the Daniels and their jokey, in-your-face version of friendship to the guardian angel hacker who had risked everything to pass the test for me? Now with the academy permanently in my rearview mirror, I still had no idea who it was. I would have liked to say thank you. In a weird way, though, that person was even more ungifted than me. It made no sense to believe that a test score could make me into something I wasn't. Classes at my old school weren't any better exactly, but at least I understood what was going on. I had been faking it for so long at the academy that it was startling to suddenly know actual answers. I even raised my hand a few times in math until Sanderson bounced a spitball off my skull and hissed, "Dude, this isn't the academy." And I couldn't help thinking, no, it isn't. It sure isn't. You can see it in the paint job, taste it in the bad cafeteria food. You can hear it in the dead air that hangs in the classroom when the teacher asks a question. You can smell it in the way sweaty gym socks. So different from the synthetic oil aroma of a set of mechanum wheels. While I was in the bathroom, someone stole my toilet, the award one, not the one I was using. I made a mental note to buy Febreze for my locker. On the way home, the Daniels and I passed by the statue of Atlas. I hadn't been there for a while, not wanting to revisit the scene of the crime. The Titan was still oddly bent, with no celestial sphere to weigh him down. And at the bottom of the hill, the entrance to the high school gym remained boarded shut. I'd been so wrapped up in my own weird predicament that I hadn't given much thought to the mess that I'd made over here. The wave of remorse was stronger than I'd anticipated. Suddenly, 20 hours of scraping pigeon poop off a bronze sphere seemed like no more than I deserved. You've done a lot of crazy stuff, Nussbaum sighed, but this is your finest hour. It wasn't so fine for the gym, I said bitterly, or for me. Sanderson nodded thoughtfully. You're right. It would have been better if the globe had gone crashing into the parking lot. It could have smashed like 10 or 15 cars. I glared at them. You guys deserve the toilet award more than me. Nussbaum grinned appreciatively. Good to have you back where you belong. Where I belong. I looked at the gray, dreary hulk of Hardcastle Middle School and felt deeply bummed that he was probably right. Cheating investigation. Interview with Abigail Lee. Mrs. Bellevue, you're aware, of course, that Donovan Curtis has left the school for good. Abigail, he never should have been here. I knew that from the first day. Mrs. Bellevue, as did I, which brings up the question of how he managed to pass the retest. We believe that someone took control of his computer and helped him cheat. Was it you? Abigail, you must be joking. I'm the last person who would help that guy. His presence lowered academy standards for every one of us. Why would I want to help him stay? Mrs. Bellevue, well, for one thing, his sister was providing you with a human growth and development credit. Then there's the robotics team, in which you had taken a key role. Abigail, oh, please, he worked a joystick like any other half-witted gamer. Mrs. Bellevue, except that a better driver would have meant the difference between a winning and losing. And it's been my observation that you're not too keen on losing. Abigail, nobody likes to lose. Mrs. Bellevue, I know how you think, Abigail. For you, education is more than learning. It's a high-stakes chess match. The state robotics meet is a resume builder. A better resume means a better college. A better college means a better future. Just how far would you be willing to go to assure all of that? Abigail, part of strategy is risk versus return. Why would I risk getting busted for cheating over a jerk I can't even stand? And we'll stop there.